In Plato's Republic, Plato states that a soul defines us as who we are. A just soul is one that is ruled by reason. And it is just because when it is ruled by reason, the different parts of the soul can be held in check and they will do their part rightly. But as Christians, we do not want to let reason rule our soul, but we want God to rule our soul. Because when God rules our soul, we can seek His will and find it and give ourselves 100% to Him. The soul is composed of three parts: the passions, the intellect, and the spirit. The passions are what drive us to make decisions based on how we feel. We cannot live without the passions, but if they are controlled poorly, they can become extremely dangerous. Take food for an example. Food is essential to life. God gave us the desire to want to eat and to enjoy good food. But if we do not control that desire, it can easily turn into gluttony and a sin. In The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky, a novel, the three protagonists are three brothers, and each is depicted to represent a different part of the soul. The oldest son, Dmitri, is depicted to represent the passions. Throughout the entire story, he lets his passions drive him to do whatever his flesh feels the need to do. He spends 10 years of his life chasing a girl he is madly in love with who doesn't even like him. In the end, he ends up rotting in prison, bankrupt and alone for the rest of his life. Thus, when controlled by God, the passions can be a beautiful thing, but when controlled poorly, they can lead to destruction and death. Now, the passions can become a problem of the flesh, but the mind can become a problem of the heart. The mind part of the soul controls how and what and when we think. It is an extremely vital part, for the mind is what helps us to learn who God is, to know Him better. It helps us make disciples, but most importantly, it helps us to determine what is right and wrong. Therefore, it is crucial that we let God rule our mind, so that we can know what is right and wrong in God's eyes. If we let reason or our own mind take control over us, and our arrogance and pride take control and decide what is wrong and right, then we will start to do what is right in our own eyes, and we will create a worldview that is wrong. Now, in The Brothers Karamazov, the middle son, Ivan, is depicted to represent the mind. He struggles throughout the whole story to create a worldview without God in a community that would make it perfect. Obviously, this is impossible. And so he fails and is driven mad by his refusal to see the truth and his pride and arrogance that he is right and that his mind is right. So these two things so far might seem to do much more harm than good. But when controlled properly, when controlled by God, they can bring heaven to earth. The spirit, the third and final portion of the soul, is the part that worships, seeks, and prays to God. When we come to know God, He comes and lives in our life. And when He comes and lives inside of us, He comes into our spirit. And through His spirit, our spirit, we can let God control our passions and our intellect, and thus our whole lives. And it is so crucial that we let the Spirit rule our passions and our intellect. For when this happens, God is able to use that energy and knowledge from those other two parts of the soul and channel that into the will He has for our life and to furthering His kingdom on earth. A great example of this is the third and youngest son in the Brothers Karamazov, Alyosha. At a young age, he decides to give everything in his life to God and lets God come into his spirit and control his passions and his intellect. He is thus able to use his drive and his knowledge in order to do God's will. And God's will for him was to go into the community that he lived in and to reach out to the young men in that community. When he gave everything to God, he was able to go in and he reached 12 young men, not more than the age of 12. And he was able to help them see God and know God more than we probably ever have in just a few short months. Because he gave everything to God, he was able to do amazing things. So it is up to us which part of the soul we will let rule us. Will we be ruled by the passions, going every which way, whichever the wind blows, according to our fleshly desires? Will we use the amazing mind God gave us for our own selfish desires and our pride? Or will we submit it all to God, let Him rule our intellect, our passions, through our spirit, so that we might do His will in amazing, powerful things. For God gave everything, so we owe Him back everything. Don't go through your life living a lie from Satan. Be honest with yourself. Which brother are you? Thank you.